Okay, so we're gonna play a little game.
Ooh,
A little game.
I like games.
A little game. Oh my God, Laura,
I'm
you
good at
cracked me up.
games. I'm good at games. Let's go.
Oh, is that right?
Depends on the
Wow.
game. I'm good at trivia.
Okay, so this game is Have You Ever? I'm gonna ask two questions.
Okay, let's go.
Have you ever done anything sexually explicit in public?
Why, yes, I have.
You have to tell it. You have to give a backstory, Laura. You can't just say yes, I have.
I'm just saying.
You have to
build
tell
up the.
No, you have to
suspense
give
a little
us
bit. Okay, I'm gonna
a
give it to
summary.
you. I'm gonna give it to you. Okay, which one?
Wow. Oh, we've got the right one now. Okay. Just your favorite one. Okay, no, no, we're not gonna say your favorite. I'm gonna ask, what's the most risque exhibitionist thing you've ever done?
Man, you really putting me on the spot right now. But
Wow, Laura.
I'm gonna tell you.
The Laura D, the
All right.
exhibitionist.
All right, I got a disclaimer, family. I am so sorry. I mean no harm. I do not want to.
Listen.
Whatever. Anyway,
It's about you and your tooth. Ain't no apologies. Go ahead. Let's get to it.
I think public sex at the beach, public sex at the public park, public sex.
I said the most risque, not all the spots.
Oh, that's risque though. Right?
Okay, yes, that is risque. All right. So we're talking about some exhibitionist tendencies.
Okay.
So have you ever done anything? Have you ever, it's the second question, have you ever been a voyeur?
Oh, yeah, girl.
So a voyeur is somebody that watches. An exhibitionist is someone who does something in like the public eye.
Okay.
So exhibitionist is like action oriented.
Yes.
Voyeurism guys, right? They be watching. They be there for the show.
Just looking, peeping.
We're not talking about something like unhealthy, like beeping toms and
Right.
like creepy stuff like that. We're talking about
Right.
healthy, consensual,
Watching.
exploration
Sure.
type of things.
Sure.
Right?
I've been a voyeur in lots of different ways, including non-sexual. So
right,
yes.
right.
But in a voyeur in the sexual sense, sure. I've watched porn.
Well,
And
according
voyeurism
to-
is a big porn topic. It's like
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the most popular ones, right?
I feel like that doesn't really count
How you
though.
gonna say, girl?
You know why? Only because it's from like a really safe space where it's like watching TV. It's not necessarily like being there in the act. It's like,
But how are you gonna judge my voyeurism?
no, I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, I just don't think that really counts because, I mean, we all have, if you watch porn, then yes, there is a voyeurism aspect to your behavior, sure. But I'm talking about some other stuff.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, and then the last question, because this is what we're going to get into, but I want to get into first, this is the last question now.
Okay.
Nudity. Have you ever sent a nude picture?
All in one episode. My family's getting to know me today.
They have to skip over it then, because we got to talk about it. This is what cosmic pussy is about. It's about taboos, right?
It's hot in
and
here.
this is unfiltered, raw conversation. We're grown-ups. Hey, don't get it twisted. Mama did some things,
that
daddy
is
did.
true.
People
That's
do
true.
things,
That's
okay?
the result of
so,
me,
yeah,
so.
so nudity. Have you ever sent like a nude picture? Well, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, and then the follow-up question is, why do you feel like you sent it? How did it affect you?
That's a good question.
What did you get out of it?
I think it was just exciting.
That's a
It
big
was
one,
exciting. It was titillating. Is it scintillating or tintillating?
Tintillating.
Tintillating.
Tantalizing?
Tantalizing, all of that.
Whatever. Exciting. We get it. Mhm.
Definitely. And it's just a great way to build up the sexual tension,
Yeah.
I think. So then when you do see each other in person, it's like, remember that picture you sent me? Or that
Yeah.
video you sent me? Let me see it in person.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so you're saying that you would send a picture, or you have sent a picture with the intention to follow up. Only?
Not with the intention to follow
But that's just a
up,
part of it.
But it's a thought that crosses the
It's
mind,
like
for sure.
foreplay.
Like foreplay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a form of foreplay.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like nudity, this is, okay, in my experience, right? So I'm gonna be transparent too,
Okay.
right? Let's be fair. So I have totally sent, and this is before the era of when they were like, don't send pictures. I was like, bitch, y'all said this message too late. Because because whether it was an ex or I just feel that in general, when you share your body, even on Instagram or whatever the social media platform is, to whatever degree. All right, you know what? Let's stick to nudity, though. It's plain up nudity.
Let's stick to nudity. Okay.
That itself, I feel, is a form of art. I feel that way.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
and so when we talk about like nudity, the body is sexualized a lot.
For sure.
But when do we look at the body and not think about sex? Like, can you ever look at a nude picture of someone and not think about sex?
Absolutely.
Right? I feel like I can.
Absolutely.
But then that's where like the judgments and all that stuff comes in, because there's people that don't really do that, that kind of see like nudity in the same line with sex.
Right.
Right?
I think a lot of that has to do also with your upbringing and
Yeah.
how young and how nudity was introduced to you as a child.
Like if it was wrong, like
Right.
cover yourself and stuff like that.
Whatever experiences.
Or-
and some people have even far more sensitive experiences that were sexualized.
Yeah.
They were sexualized as a child. So it, creates in them sort of it inhibits, a lot.
Yes,
So-
that is the key word right there.
Yeah.
And I feel like so when you were growing up, did you feel like you could be in a house kind of not naked, but did you have to like cover up?
Yeah, what's really
Or-
interesting is that in my home, my mom in particular, my dad too, was very strict. Very, a lot of things were taboo when it came to sex.
Yeah.
In general, and yeah, I felt that even just watching a kissing scene on TV was taboo. Like I'd feel shame. Like she would be like, "You have to leave the room."
Yeah.
and I never understood
Yeah,
like why.
my parents would be like, "Close your eyes."
Yeah, close your eyes, close your eyes, And so a lot of those things, including, nudity, sex, even down to something as normal as talking about menstruation was taboo.
And you know that's really interesting when you say like cover your eyes, and not that I'm not saying that that's wrong. I know you're not saying that,
No.
but it still does have an effect. And so creating like that, these first kind of memories that kind of give you this idea that this type of behavior is shameful or should be private and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that sometimes is the reason why psychologically later on in life causes people to be more, prone to kind of rebel and do exhibitionist and voyeurism type of activities.
Right.
Because we're inhibited,
Yeah.
when we're younger. So we look at it like this is something I was always taught not to do, or I
Right.
can't do this, and you have all these rules. There's like an underlining of like rebellion, and it's like that's where that rush comes from. That's where like when you send a picture.
Each time it's like you want to keep pushing the limit a little
Yeah,
more. Let me see
so
what else I could do.
Because people will say like, we've seen so many celebrities, right? Going back into the nudity. If we look at how many celebrity videos, pictures get, leaked, and it's like people will say, "Oh, why do they keep doing that? Why do they keep sending these guys?"
Because they're human.
Right. And it's like, okay, so the guy gets his rocks off or pride or whatever they get out of it, but it has to be a two-way thing somehow, right? So who is like on the receiver's side of it, the person who's sending the picture, like that's what I really want to talk about. What are they getting out of it? And you hit it right there, like that excitement, you know?
I think that for the receiver, for the sender as well, I think that it's really important to note too that sexual arousal in general, because most people, if you look and at any sort of sexual imagery, whatever it is, but mostly if it's an attractive person, you're gonna get sexually aroused, right? And I think sexual arousal is a really wonderful part of the human experience. And so it creates a longing, excitement, all that stuff, so it's normal.
I kind of feel, so here's my take on that. I feel that the excitement for me is not just the body. Like you can be you can be extremely attractive body person, whatever. You can have a look that I think is great, and it could totally be my sexual preference. However, I really think that the intention in the pose or whatever it is in the way that is expressed. So I look at like naked bodies. The naked human body is art. No matter how flawed, perfect, muscular, chubby, whatever, I think human bodies are just beautiful. Only because I'm looking at it in an artistic lens of individuality, right? And so that doesn't discriminate, you know. And then when we're talking about sexual preference and being attracted to a body or a person's physical, that's something totally different, right? And so, say if I can take a picture of my breast, and I can have my baby in my hands, and if the picture is of my full breast before I breastfeed my child, it's not sexual to me. The intent behind my bare breasts are to show, my expression of what I feel, that connection to me and my child, me being able to feed my child, right? So the intention of your expression, I think, is really what makes it sexual or art. And even when it's sexual, it is art. But I think that the intent is really what, can make something, because I feel that, I post sexy pictures, but not raunchy pictures, Right. And it's all just the tone.
Right. And it's really interesting because you mentioned quite a few times about how it's art.
Yeah.
And art is a beautiful thing. And I think for centuries, there has been a very fine line, between, I would say between like that whole like nudity or is art versus porn in a sense, right? It's just been really notoriously difficult to define for centuries. Yeah. Right. So whereas even like you think about in the Victorian age, right? When you think of like painters, a lot of, nude bodies and nude sculptures and things like that, but showing like an ankle or a knee, even in that time, was like gasp. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So even in, you take it across cultures and you think about even like in Muslim culture, how, a lot of women are, have to have their face fully covered, so yeah, it's
that's really interesting. You brought up the art and, because I have a quote and I wanted to bring because I love this quote. Yeah. Because it resonates so much with me.
Go for it.
Michelangelo says, "What spirit is so empty and blind that it cannot recognize the fact that the foot is more noble than the shoe and the skin more beautiful than the garment with which it is clothed?" I was like, ooh. Oh.
So tell me, go ahead, break that down.
He's saying, this is my interpretation, is that the body is beautiful and covering it up is not noble, or covering it up is not going to make any, I don't think that it makes you any less. I will say this, and this kind of makes me think about the Muslim culture and other cultures that believe in modesty, right? Covering up.
And modesty can be beautiful too. So.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say is that, being covered and clothed is powerful to some women. Absolutely. And attractive to some men. And then being nude is empowering, for other women and really attractive for other men. And I thought, like, where do I lay, in that spectrum? And I feel like it's really in the middle. At the end of the day, I look back and I can't tell you how many times, like, when I cover up my hair and if I wear a turban and I'm totally covered from head to toe, I feel just as beautiful as times that I decide to wear something a lot more revealing and show way more than I typically do. And I think I kind of just dabble in both, and it just depends on everything, what I'm feeling, and but I don't feel that one is better than the other. Okay. Do you feel like you kind of lean more towards one than the other?
In terms of like
Being exposed or being quote unquote modest?
I think I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
I fall somewhere in the middle because I think it's beautiful and empowering to go in either direction. There are times where I am fully covered, where I also have my head wrapped, and I think it's beautiful. I feel
And you could be really sexy all the way covered.
all the way covered, and it doesn't even have to be something form-fitting either. You know, I think when I am fully covered in that way, there's a regalness about it,
right?
You know, and I do feel kind of like a very goddess, regal-like queen in that way. Not to say that if I am less clothed, that I won't feel the same,
Right.
But that does evoke a different feeling,
Absolutely.
You know, and so yeah, I think I fall somewhere in the middle for sure. Yeah. So. For you, actually, let me give you a little scenario.
Ah, shit.
Okay. So you are in the middle of taking a shower at home, and your roommate
I have a roommate? Oh, God. Okay.
/ partner.
Wait. Which one?
I don't know. I'm just trying to give you options.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me rock with this. All right, your roommate is having a house party.
Okay.
Right? And then you hear somebody scream, "Fire! There's a fire!" Do you run out that bathroom at full speed, butt naked?
Yes.
Or you didn't even let me get to the or.
Titties is flying.
Do you grab a towel and run? Or do you change real quick?
I am not changing. I actually,
Put some clothes on and run out.
swear I have actually thought about this. You know, I've thought about this. It was one time. You know what it was? This paranoia kind of came up when I moved into an apartment building. I grew up in a house all my life, and then when I moved into an apartment building, I used to think about stuff like that. I used to be like, what if something horrible happens and I have to run outside like naked? Because in the house, I am most of the time very close to being naked, and then there are times
where comfort zone. Why not?
Yes, and I'm just like, I think about it times. I was just like, would I? And no, and the answer is I would just have to be outside the way that I was.
Okay.
And I would just be like, yeah, y'all see this. You know, it's not that like I went out. You know, that's not going to be my preference, but in the face of danger, it is what it is.
I'm not mad at that. For me, I think that nudity is kind of like this direct link to having a spiritual connection to nature.
Yeah.
So we are born naked, and you know, it's kind of like the clothing kind of gets you in between enjoying what's really natural.
Yeah. I mean, when we connect to the earth, the soles of our shoes are blocking us from the earth and being grounded and stuff like that. And we can go on and on about that. But it's like, absolutely. I think that being in touch with your body and not, even if you don't do it publicly, but just at least having a space where you can be nude for a period of time that you feel totally comfortable. It doesn't have to be in the eyes of another or where someone else is watching. But if you can feel comfortable just in your room or at home or a prolonged shower, you know, whatever the case is, like being naked, I think, you know, being nude is, I think it's one of those things like we all got to do that.
Absolutely. I enjoy going to topless beaches. I've been to nude beaches.
Girl, I want to go to, I haven't gone yet.
Ever?
I definitely, yeah.
Really?
I would love to.
Yeah. You know, even here in New York, Reese Beach, I'm pretty sure you've heard of it.
Yes.
Like Reese Beach, you know, every summer is a
Maybe
hot
we could do that 2020 summer.
It's going to let the babies out, let the puppies out.
Well, I know, like, I feel like it's also, when I think about going to places like that, I usually think about going with a partner. And
sure.
I just, because I don't want to be harassed, I do want to be able to express myself and like go out there with like a G-string and topless.
For sure.
But I would have to be with my partner. And he would also have to be 1,000% down with it and feel comfortable and confident and like just like totally hold it down in a emotional like security sense.
Yeah.
But if it makes him feel uncomfortable, it's just like
no. I mean, I get that you think that way.
Yeah.
What's really great is that most of the time, like nude resorts, nude beaches, topless beaches,
I don't know about couples.
Not only that, not necessarily. I'm just saying that they're actually pretty secure.
Right.
Like, people don't bother anybody else. You don't really have oglers or people who are gawking at you. Like, everybody just kind of leaves everybody alone because they're all there and they all in the same open, bare flesh.
Right, exactly.
So it's not really a big deal.
Like on the same wavelength.
Yeah, they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So you don't really have people who are harassing you. The only people who would harass you are just
Newcomers.
not only just because it's not even. I don't think it even has to do
You
with
don't
your
belong
body.
here?
I think it's just because they're just assholes.
There are two signs that come to mind when I think about exhibitionist, behavior. It's Aries and Leo. There are other signs, of course, but Aries is about right now.
Okay.
So if you're somewhere and your partner pulls you by the hand and says, "Let's go into the bathroom right now," that will drive an Aries crazy. And so you can do something at, like a very spontaneous type of thing, and because you're living in the power of like now, the excitement of that, and it's like, take off your pants.
Right, and that's the thing. Exhibitionists is they want people to watch them in a sense, right?
Right, and so if you're at a party, right? If you're at a party and there's like, it doesn't have to be like in the middle of the dance floor, but if you're off to the side where you can kind of be like low key in a public place, public places I feel are also a kind of exhibitionist behavior.
For sure. PDA.
Yeah,
PDAing,
yeah.
like any sort of public display, whether it's making out in public.
It doesn't
is
have to
sort
be
of exhibition.
outright for people to see, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then Leo is like, if you're, Leo's like to perform. Wherever Leo is in your chart, think about how you behave like on stage. Are you a performer in bed? Are you over, dramatic? Are you very vocal?
Is it Leo in my chart, girl?
Yes. Of course, it's Leo in everybody's chart. In your chart is, I think it's your 4th house. And so, yeah, that's, yeah. So you are a performer. Yeah. I am too. Mine is in my 7th house. So that's with their partner.
Okay.
And so that's why I continue to say, like, when I behave in that way, I always think about it just with my partner. It's not something I would ever do like just by myself, or that's not my thing.
Right.
But if that's what you do, more power to you. That's great. And then voyeurism, the people that watch are like Aquarius.
Really?
Aquarius are known for being like super observant. They're like the watchers, and they're not judgmental, and they're down for all experimental type of things. So they'll be like, if there's a social gathering where that type of thing is happening, they're not going to actually be a part of the things that are happening.
They're lurking in the cut.
They're just like, wow, he did that. Oh, she did. Oh, look at that. Like, and they're just chilling about it,
Right.
So, but yeah.
So then let me ask you this. Where do you think is the balance then? The balance between, you started off talking about the doing and the watching, right? We're talking about like when you are an exhibitionist or even a voyeur or acting in sort of a voyeuristic way, right? That's watching, right? And then exhibitionist is doing as well as nudity or engaging in some form of nudity.
Yeah.
Where do you think the balance lies?
I think that's different for everybody. Some guys that like to go to strip clubs, they're voyeurs. What are you doing? You're watching, naked women, whether they fully go nude or, somewhat nude. At the end of the day, you like to watch, and people don't realize like how much we watch. We live vicariously through people. Women that like to go to strip clubs are voyeurs as well. Why? They're watching other women, whether they're attracted to them sexually or not. As a woman, it's not the same as you watching as it is for a man to watch.
I think for me, in order to find that balance between the two, is really making a conscious effort to cap your consumption of watching, like, or of doing. You have to cap the consumption of like the type of voyeurs, I don't know, whatever you're watching or whatever. So that way it doesn't get out of control. So like if you are, a porn watcher, or if you are just like a people watcher.
Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah.
No, it could be, just even a people watcher. People like to sit on the bench at parks all the time and people watch. My mom used to love to do that.
Yeah.
And it's nothing at all that's bad, but sometimes those things, even that can suck up all your time. You can stay
Yeah.
there and watch people and you're not doing anything. You're not being in action because all you're doing is watching, observing, trying to make sense of things, learning, doing things. But what are you doing with all that knowledge? What are you doing with that? And I say that even about myself, even just in the sense of doing things outside of sex, you know, acting on things to do things for yourself,
Right.
whether it's business or personal life. You know, sometimes those things can be very debilitating. And
I feel like there's a lot more voyeurs than there are exhibitionists, though. Like, beyond sex, I do feel that, because if you just take every platform of social media, people watch. They watch your stories, they watch your YouTube. You're not talking to them, you know. You're not.
Right.
You're just
You're right.
watching. You're
You're
just
right.
watching, and people will just watch and watch and watch.
And you're watching yourself.
And yeah, and then it's like you're watching because we all kind of live vicariously to some degree through the things that we choose to watch.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think voyeurs, when it comes to like nudity, a lot of the time there are people, like, I was reading this article and this guy, he said, you know, that it's just cowardice, and I totally disagree with that. I don't feel like it's cowardice to be a voyeur and to watch instead of to be like the doer or the exhibitionist. I just think that everybody experiences life a little differently, and there are just other ways of expressing yourself. And I think that exhibitionist and being nude and being a doer, those are all when you're expressing. And it's
Right.
just publicly. That's the thing, that it just is publicly or for other people to see.
Yeah.
Where you can express yourself all the same privately too, and just watch other people publicly. You know?
Exactly.
And I think that's totally fine.
I agree. I
You
agree.
know?
There are just people who have like an aversion to nudity, and that's okay for whatever
Yeah.
reason. You know, like I think about my son. You know, and in my home, I walk around.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I walk around nude. I walk around even. You know, he's it's for him. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that again, it's about being able to have, you know, conversations at an early age
Yeah.
with your child, to express to them that it is natural and that it is okay.
Yeah.
It's really important to be able to do that safely, you know?
Yeah, but I also feel like there's that, and then there's the balance, the other side of it, where you have to also teach your children the boundaries that come along with that too.
Absolutely.
So like in my house, you know, I have I have 3 kids. If I'm home, you know, with the 3 of them, and I jump out the shower because somebody's riding on the couch or something, something crazy, and I'm like, oh God, I have to get out the shower. For whatever reason that I may end up kind of just being totally naked, it's not typically for long periods of time, only because they're getting older.
Yep.
So as I get older, I cover up more, specifically in front of my son.
Has he asked you to do that? Is that why?
No, I just feel that he's going to. I just feel that it's a clear difference between my body and his body, and I just want things to be age appropriate. I feel like he. Seeing my breasts is one thing, but like having underwear on, like I have to have underwear on, you know. But like if it's my daughters, I'm more, you know, free with my daughters. I'll just say my oldest daughter, she's 9. So she's totally seen every corner and every inch of my breast, you know. And it's not anything. And I think that what I'm teaching her by her seeing me like that all the time is not to be ashamed.
Yeah.
But she also knows that when I leave the house, you know, I am covered up. I am, you know, I'm moving with integrity and stuff like that. The things that I want her to do.
Right.
And then I teach we enforce that the kids do not get undressed or change or anything like that in the same room, you know. So there's privacy we're teaching, but it doesn't mean that if my son opens the door without knocking while my daughter's getting dressed, he won't get punished, and it's not the end of the world, and it's not, you know, I don't like to over dramatize their bodies and all that type of thing. So it's, that's, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think it's really important.
It's such a careful balance.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with like setting those boundaries, setting rules and boundaries
Yeah.
in place, right? So that you can always have kind of like this really healthy way of talking about
Yeah.
it. And I think also just keeping nudity and sex
Separate. Totally separate.
Totally separate.
You know what's so funny was where I always get reminded of that in dressing rooms. Oh my God. In the gym,
Oh,
without
my
a
God.
doubt.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
usually older women. I
Yeah.
think that's so dope. It's always older women that have the imperfect bodies. Their breasts are down to their knees. And guess what? Honey, they are in that dressing room
Yeah.
without a care, without feeling.
I think it's inspiring.
Yeah, that's
when I
what
was
I'm
younger,
saying.
I was like, ew.
Ew, yeah. And then but you walk in there now, you're just like,
They're completely comfortable
It doesn't
in their
bother me.
bodies and
Yeah.
with who they are. I think also, when you're naked, whether it's around your kids or even in public like that at the gym, to avoid criticizing your body. I think it's really important to say, hey, like for instance, like at the gym as trainers, like we hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I want to get rid of this gut. I want to get rid of this belly. I wish I didn't have this extra skin. Or, I think instead of criticizing yourself in that way, turning it into a positive and saying, hey, I'm really glad that my body could bring you into this world.
yeah.
Or
Or it's like a thing where you have, but I think that comes with age.
For
Because
sure.
I feel that it's always younger girls who are expressing all this and that and this. And that's what I'm saying. Like the older women, it's just like they kind of went through it. I feel like the older you get, the easier it is to accept and love yourself. And also, gravity ain't on your side, so it ain't much you can do. Or on the other side of things, like forget the the emotional and the spiritual part of it. The material world, like girl, it's going down
even
anyway.
even if you have breast implants, those suckers, I heard,
Yeah.
start sagging after 10,
vanity
12
doesn't
years
last.
too. You got to
Yeah.
definitely get them redone.
Yeah, the vanity doesn't last, and that's exactly why I say like practicing like just accepting your body.
Absolutely.
And the feeling good. You should be feeling good about the way that you look without clothes. If you don't, do that work and maybe try to celebrate yourself more, like you're saying, than like nitpicking certain things. And then you can always fix things that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? But
And even if you can't fix it, it's okay.
yeah, maybe. But yeah, I definitely like. I went through this thing where I loved my breasts like when I was in my 20s, and then right after I had my first kid, I was like, wait, you guys are not as high as you used to be, but I still like you. And then it was like second kid, and it was like and now I'm like, you know what's crazy? Without my bra on, they're way lower than they was in my 20s, right? But I kind of like the sag a little bit. It's so weird. Like I never thought that in my, like if you would have told 20-something-year-old Reina, like you're gonna embrace that later on, I would have never thought that,
Well, you're embracing it now.
There's a
I'm
part.
embracing it too.
You're embracing my side.
I'm embracing it too. The foiness of Reina. I embrace myself. I hope that you guys also take the time to celebrate yourselves, your bodies, your nude bodies. It is all good.
Get some spice in your
And-
life. Do
Exactly.
something in the public, somewhere, maybe discreetly.
Maybe. And if something arouses you or somebody, you can either look or look away. We do appreciate you taking the time
We love
to
you.
listen and to watch. Until next time, peace.
Bye.